How can this be for the greater good? The greater good. Shut it!
Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, directed by David Yates and written by J.K. Rowling, is the sequel to 2016's Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and the second installment of the Wizarding World prequels. Once again we follow Newt Scamander, played by Eddie Redmayne, as he is tasked by a young Albus Dumbledore, played by Jude Law, to track down an extremely powerful and dangerous magical human hybrid named Credence, played by Ezra Miller, before he falls into the malevolent clutches of Wizarding Hitler, Gellert Grindelwald, played by Johnny Depp. But can Newt reach him in time? I aim to keep myself open for this film, as while I thought the first film was just okay, mostly it suffered from pacing problems, I do like Harry Potter and the world that J.K. Rowling has built, and any chance to return to the Wizarding World is tempting. But unfortunately, I don't think it's enough to save this film. Fantastic Beasts 2 seeks to explore such ideas as personal freedoms and forms of expression in the face of contrary political policy, the dangers and/or effectiveness of propaganda, whether something is inherently good or evil by virtue of perception, and what the greater good really means. But in truth, these are just extrapolated ideas from a film that barely makes time to touch on any of them, as this film's biggest misstep is that it simply tries to do too much. With a pretty hefty runtime of 2 hours and 13 minutes, Fantastic Beasts 2 attempts to portray 4 different romances, reconvene and develop the original cast of 6 characters, introduce and develop 4 new characters plus a laundry list of C-stringers, all the while establishing Grindelwald as a formidable villain and delivering a twist ending. Woof. It's no surprise that this film sags under its own weight, failing to deliver any emotional beat and really sucking the consequence and resonance of character decision, injury, and death. And that's a shame because some of what's presented here is kind of cool, and with enough time could have truly been memorable, but it's clear Rowling struggles to write within the parameters of the short-form screenplay, and is better suited to a medium that allows her room to breathe. I also felt that this film falls into the same traps as its predecessor, with some scenes that don't really do anything to forward the plot in an effective way and serve as blatant and unnecessary fan service or world building, as well as certain characters who also felt unnecessary, such as Dan Fogler's Jacob Kowalski and Catherine Waterston's Tina Goldstein, who felt more like plot devices rather than actual characters. And that's a shame. Grindelwald also felt kind of flat, with his motives being defined but his villainy and dramatic presence being implied. For a film that's titled The Crimes of Grindelwald, he doesn't really commit any crimes, nor does he pay for his previous ones. Aside from having a distinct look, Johnny Depp doesn't seem to add much of a flair to this role compared to some of his previous work. He sort of just floats around spewing rhetoric and not much else. Then my final negative strike against this film comes in the form of its structure. I touched briefly on its pacing, but I'll expand on that point by saying that the film doesn't feel like it ever progresses to a point of palpable tension, feeling as though it's stuck in the first act of establishing characters, motives, stakes, and the world, only with it crossing the boundary in maybe its final 10-20 minutes. A lot of the film is just characters running around looking for things, whether it be friends or MacGuffins. Oh, and there's also this convoluted out-of-the-blue twist that made me go, wait, what? And I felt like it really undercut the relationship between Dumbledore and Grindelwald and added unnecessary complexity. But hey, it's not all bad. Sure, I've spent this entire review ragging on this film, but there were a few things that I really did enjoy. Like I said before, the Wizarding World is awesome, and we're given an opportunity to see new places and be immersed in a new alternate history wizarding culture. The new creatures on display I felt were far more visually interesting this time around, yet still found a way to be effective in the story further than just set dressing. And finally, I really do like Newt Scamander. I appreciate that this film celebrates an atypical action hero who isn't motivated by some deep-seated trauma, but rather his compassion for the disenfranchised. And I like Redmayne's performance. He does well to capture his social awkwardness and inability to make eye contact, while also giving him a presence and capability. Well done. But that's about it. This is one of my more scathing reviews I've done in a while, and I'm surprised I came down so hard on it, but I can't deny that I felt that it had problems. I suppose the silver lining here is that most of its problems stem from wanting to show you too much and being eager in doing so. I guess I can only hope that next time they strip it back and focus on the central cast and the magic that may very well lie within.